Ever since the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi and the backlash it received and how it had a massive effect on the box office results of Solo: A Star Wars Story, a lot of fans have been wondering exactly whether or not Disney and Lucasfilm really is going in the right direction after Episode 9's release. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, if you guys have been following me for quite a long time, you guys very well know that I really disagreed with a lot of elements of The Last Jedi. Pretty much, all the elements of the movie that really just did not work well with me at all, and how I really just did not like Rian Johnson's direction and his vision of how Luke Skywalker should be in that movie. If you guys love The Last Jedi, that is perfectly fine and all, but in my point of view, I think it's a very flawed film, and that hopefully J.J. Abrams will be able to knock The Rise of Skywalker out of the park. Now, on top of all of this, we do know that currently Disney and Lucasfilm are really trying to change their format of the Star Wars franchise and exactly where they want to bring Star Wars after Episode 9 and questioning exactly what is Star Wars. That's what Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger are trying to figure out over at Disney and Lucasfilm. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to, of course, the future of the Star Wars franchise, where, of course, Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to bring things in a different direction, this is where things begin to get very intriguing for Episode 9 and beyond. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that currently Disney and Lucasfilm are said to be planning the roadmap of their Star Wars films and projects throughout the 2020s after the release of The Rise of Skywalker. It's explained that Disney and Lucasfilm plan to bring Star Wars in a different direction, and that many changes to their current plans are being made to steer themselves in a different direction. Now, it's explained that one of these adjustments has to do with putting Rian Johnson's trilogy to the wayside and detaching Rian Johnson from any future Star Wars films. It said that they are waiting on the release of The Rise of Skywalker and plan to make the announcement of his trilogy's cancellation sometime in 2020 when the time is right after the Mandalorian episodes have aired and the release of The Rise of Skywalker is out of theaters and coming to Blu-ray. This is described to be a crucial change to Disney and Lucasfilm, and that the negotiations of letting go of Johnson's films are moving further ahead. Since The Last Jedi backlash, many fans have boycotted Solo: A Star Wars Story, and that caused the box office results to drop, hence the cancellation of 10 years worth of Star Wars films. Now, the Rian Johnson trilogy was said to not focus on the Jedi or Sith and would have taken Star Wars in a different direction. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this is great news and why it matches up with the previous rumors that we heard about. Just about, I would say, 3 days ago, you guys may have heard this thing going around on the internet. It was a big rumor about Rian Johnson's trilogy being canceled by Disney and that they are trying to really just focus on The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian and not announce anything just yet in order to not have bad press, not have bad news going around about the future Star Wars, and of course, waiting until 2020 of Rian Johnson's films being canceled and put to the wayside. Now, like I've always said, I always felt that Rian Johnson, after I saw The Last Jedi, was just not a good fit for Star Wars at all. Prior to the release of The Last Jedi, I had a lot of faith in Rian, I will admit, because this was a guy that, was going to explore the character of Luke Skywalker, taking him in a different direction. We didn't really know what that direction was going to be at the time until, of course, we saw the actual movie. And like I've always said before with Episode 8, is that there are a lot of problems with that film. I've gone over that several times that I won't go over in this video, but the thing about Rian Johnson here is that the fact that they would give him, of all people, a new Star Wars trilogy, I will be honest with you guys, is beyond me. It really is mind-boggling to think that they would give somebody a new Star Wars trilogy based on a film that he made that was so divisive to the fans, that really split the fan base, if not a majority of fans against Star Wars, if anything. But when we look at Episode 9, the fact that it does indeed also have an effect on that as well. A lot of fans are also boycotting The Rise of Skywalker because of what The Last Jedi did to the Star Wars franchise. So the fact that Disney and Lucasfilm are currently in big negotiations of putting his trilogy to the wayside and canceling it and pretty much, not having Rian on board with those films, it also matches up with what Rian said on the red carpet a couple of weeks ago. You guys may have seen that, where he said, hey, if it happens, you know, I'd be willing and I'm very excited about it. If it happens, I'm surprised that he said if, and I think that that does line directly up with this as well. So, Rian's new trilogy, like I say, I was never really excited about it, me personally. If you guys were, that's fine. This is just my opinion, but I was just not feeling it. I was more so in tune with the new Star Wars trilogy that was coming first by David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. By the way, Disney and Lucasfilm are currently trying to find, you know, new writers and directors to take over those Star Wars films that will debut throughout the 2020s. And Rian's trilogy to begin with, you know, wasn't really going to debut until pretty much in the distant future, a long time from now, because they plan for the new Star Wars trilogy to come first by the creators of Game of Thrones, and then Rian Johnson second. And that's a very long time. I mean, we're talking about years upon years, and at that point in time, it seems like that Disney's plan was to actually debut his trilogy, where The Last Jedi is just an afterthought. But to me, nobody will ever forget about The Last Jedi and the backlash that it actually received. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.